Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KitBadger.com, out here to bring you another gear review. And today, we're talking gun cases. This one right here, which is a double rifle case by Impact Case and Container. Before we dive into this case right here, kind of broad strokes, what are we looking for? Well, in a gun case, we want to protect our firearms. They can be very expensive, especially depending on optics, things along those lines. And with respect to protecting them, one, we have like cosmetic stuff, don't want them to get banged up maybe if you care about their finish, but we also don't want like optics banged around, could potentially lose zero, things along those lines. And then we also have protection from elements. Right now it's raining, so depending on the type of guns, may or may not be okay with them getting wet. And lastly, kind of security. So nothing is secure in the sense that someone given time, opportunity, tools can get into anything. Like if someone can build something, someone can take it apart. That's just it. So it comes down to how long it would take someone to gain access to something, whether it's a bank vault or a gun case for that matter. So we'll jump into this one right here. I've been using this particular case for quite a while now. Been taking it back and forth cross country, and to that end, one of the things I definitely appreciate about it is the way it locks. You can lock this, which is good, and if you're unfamiliar flying with firearms, yes, you can do it. It is just required that the firearms be unloaded, separated from ammo, and they need to be in a hard-sided lockable case that is locked. So to that end, we have a hard-sided case and we have the ability to lock it. I do appreciate also the way this locks, in that if you wanted to, for whatever reason, you could put 4 locks down it. But the way I use it, and the way it obviously was designed and can be used, is you have a locking bar. So this locking bar comes out, slides all the way out, and then at that point you can actually undo these latches. So rather than having like maybe a locking point here and a locking point here that you see in a lot of cases, like Pelican cases, stuff along those lines, and sometimes they may even have ones down here at the end, but if you only have a couple locking points, it creates the opportunity to pry things up. But if you have latches that are in fact locked, a steel bar going through them, then you can't just get to a corner and start prying like you can some of the cheaper, smaller cases. So to get this thing open, we have 4 latches and we undo them to get access to whatever we have in here. And right now, I got a couple rifles. The inside of the case itself is lined with this foam. It is not a hard foam, and there's a couple layers of it, and you can actually pull it all the way out. I mention this because, one, since you can remove it, it usually will get removed by like TSA. They'll pull it out, make sure you don't have bomb in there or whatever else you happen to try and smuggle. But it's nice in that, one, it's not secured in there, so when TSA gets kind of grabby, tear it apart or anything like that. And additionally, if for whatever reason you wanted to maybe keep a soft case inside of here with your firearms for like shorter transits, you could obviously pull the foam out, and now you just have a hard case opened up to put really anything you want inside of here. As I had mentioned, this locking bar is probably one of my favorite features. It slides through all of these 4 individual latches, and then when you get to the end, sling it up and your lock goes straight through there, keeps this from being able to rotate down. So by having this, you have that one lock, secures the entire case. Also, over on the one end, we have this handle, spring loaded, stays closed, or stays up rather, when you're not using it. And then right here in the middle, we have another spring-loaded handle for more like a suitcase carry right here, versus this one on the end, which you can actually pull this behind you. There's wheels on the other side. A few quick notes with respect to the wheels. One, do not pull very well on pine needles, but more importantly, the wheels are actually captured by this little cross pin. And when you pull the foam out, you can actually remove that cross pin. It stays in place when the foam's there. But when the foam's out, that pin can basically walk out. So I have had TSA agents go through, make sure I wasn't carrying a bomb, and in doing so, pull the foam out. That pin walks out because they're doing who knows what with it, and the wheel falls off, and they can't figure out how to put it back in. So I picked this up from baggage claim with a piece of cord going through this handle, through the wheel, just like tied on there. They're like, I don't know. Thanks, guys. But with the wheels, it is nice because you don't have to carry this thing. But I will say this handle, it's not huge. So what happens is as it starts to come down, it crushes your knuckles, which is not my favorite thing. I would like to, I like these handles in that when you're not using them, they snap closed, but it seems like this would probably be better suited if it was moved down to this edge so you have a longer handle, at which point you don't smash your knuckles on there, going through airports or across parking lots, things along those lines. I will say I've been pretty impressed with the construction as well. It's made out of a 5052 H32 marine grade aluminum, if that means anything to you. Everything's all TIG welded, it's nice and clean. As much as TSA has tried to destroy this thing, got some pretty deep gouges in there. Still doing good, all scratched up along basically all your flat sides, but still going strong. And while I would not throw this over a ship and expect it to float or be waterproof, it does have the seal that goes all the way around. I've never ran into issues with my guns being wet, whether this is sat out at the range in the rain, or at competitions, or even sitting out on a baggage cart on the tarmac. Also on the back side, there's this full-length piano hinge, which is awesome. So rather than having just small hinges like some cases where you can basically push that pin out and remove the entire lid, this will not allow that. And you can see these little studs right here. There's a couple left on the other end. There's basically these rubber stoppers that essentially, I don't know, keep this from resting on the ground. They promptly ripped off this one end. They're still there on the other side. What can we put in here? A lot of things. The internal dimensions are 54 inches long by 14 inches wide, 4.5 inches deep. That allows you to carry a lot of stuff. This is their double rifle case, and it will hold 2 rifles depending on how much stuff you have on them. The way I usually will use it is, like say if, for example, if I'm traveling to a competition, I will usually have a rifle and a pistol, maybe a plate carrier. And so I'll keep my rifle and my pistol in here, and then kind of whatever other stuff. Sometimes I'll put like rifle plates, or at least one of them, depending on trying to meet that weight requirement. Most airlines, it's like 50 or 55 pounds, so you don't want to go over that. This weighs in without anything in it, just with the foam, metal bar, stuff like that, weighs about 20 pounds. So it's giving you about 35 pounds to work with. When I went down to compete in Desert Brutality, I had 2 carbines in here, as well as 2 pistols. Definitely fit everything. Wasn't much room for anything else after that. But no, like it'll carry quite a bit. This double rifle case, it's done a great job for me, especially traveling. I will say it is big and rigid, so if maybe you're just going to your local range, something along those lines, I don't know, it might not be the most practical when you could obviously just use soft-sided case or something along those lines. But again, soft-sided cases don't usually have any protection from elements. This is easy to pick up, slide into the back of a pickup bed, something along those lines. I will say dimensionally, I know this because I've done it quite a few times, it will go across most like passenger cars, like a back seat, if you're taking an Uber from airport or something along those lines. As far as things I would like to see improved, I already mentioned this handle. I would love to see it move down so it's just longer. And the other thing I noticed is this whole thing is flat, which is fine. But because of that, when you are sliding this in and out of I don't know, back of a truck, something along those lines, or across like tailgate, whatever it may be, sliding across this entire surface. And not a huge deal, but definitely a fair bit of drag, and pretty much tears up any of your stickers that you put on there. And you're like, what? Who cares? Well, I kind of do. I'd rather have my stickers that I put on here and not get all torn up. And so to that end, also on a practical side, to add rigidity to it, I would love to see some sort of, whether it's just X pattern or something, basically the aluminum pressed. I know they have the capabilities because they do a lot of other stuff at Impact Case and Container. Most of their stuff they do is not commercial. It's like massive metal containers for all kinds of stuff, NASA, government, whatever. They do also, of course, have these for firearms, this being their double rifle case. Actually made here in the US, right up the road from where I live, up in Hayden, Idaho. It's pretty cool. I got to go by and check it out. Cost about 350 bucks. I can appreciate that is expensive, but I don't know, put it in perspective. So say you have your double rifle case and you have your nice rifle all zeroed. Maybe you're traveling to go for, I don't know, maybe a once in a lifetime draw tag for like a moose or something like that. Awesome, congratulations. And you put it in like a $25 plastic Plano case and it gets beat to hell and you miss your shot because it lost zero. That would be a bummer. Security, like at the end of the day, or for that matter, personally, lots of times I will fly with NFA items, National Firearms Act, like short-barreled rifles, suppressors, silencers, that stuff. If you lose that stuff, yeah, it's a bummer, and then it's a huge bummer because now you have to deal with the ATF. Like, it's a really big deal. And a lot of the cheaper cases, or ones that maybe lock like right in the middle, or more or less right in the middle, two different spots maybe if you're lucky, you can literally grab the cases and pry the edges apart. If you lose stuff going through the airport, like, that's a bummer. If your expensive firearms and potentially even more expensive optics get busted because your case is a piece of crap, like, that's a bummer. So a $350 case for like a $3,000 optic, if you're shooting like PRS and stuff, weigh it out. I don't know. You do you, but pretty good, cool American company making some good stuff here in the States. If you pick one up and you have experience with it, let me know how it does for you. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.